You know these bikes are snatchy on the low end. I have found the fix for that. And what I have noticed through looking at it on the wideband is that when it goes from closed loop to open loop and back and forth, when you're in that low RPM range, low throttle opening, your AFRs are constantly changing. So it'll go like 14.7 in your closed loop, and then it switches to auto open loop, and it's jumping down to like 12 something, 13 something with the Kove ECU. I got the Kove ECU and removed the IAC, disconnected the IAC, and adjusted the map sensor, throttle stop, to help with that throttle response and low end. But now I found the answer. I was looking at Grom forums. If anybody knows anything about Groms, everything in that system, when they tune them, they have one option, and that's a Dynojet power commander along with one of their other items. So I thought about it for a second. I was like, you know what? I can use that to keep that AFR steady across the board. So I went ahead and bought Power Commander 6. What is a Power Commander 6? A Power Commander 6 is fuel management, but it's not an ECU. It takes signals from the ECU or from the engine and modifies the output of fuel by adjusting injector pulse width, either shorter or longer. So you can add up to 15% fuel or subtract 15% fuel according to where your throttle is and what RPM you're running. Helpful. Now, a Power Commander 6 on its own is not going to help you with throttle response on this bike. It's not going to do anything for you. It may add a little bit of power if you went and got a dyno tune, but that's about it. Could it smooth things out? Sure. But when you change elevations, temperature changes, huge swings, you're going to be back in the same boat again. And I'll tell you why. It's that open closed loop switch. When your AFRs get jumpy or the bike is just not quite right. So I went ahead and did everything they've said about removing the IC, Kove ECU, adjusting my map sensor, and it was good. It was better. But let me tell you, this is the coup de grace, the special sauce, the magic sauce. So Dynojet makes a product called Wideband 2. Essentially, it is a wideband O2 sensor driver. And it relays that AFR information to the Power Commander 6, which then makes its fuel adjustments. They have another product called Auto Tune. It's similar, but it's not the one you want, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But anyways, right now with the Dynojet Power Commander 6 and the Wideband 2, essentially what you've done is make the bike run in closed loop at all times. It's constantly taking the AFR data, modifying your fuel, and keeping it at the ratio that you set. I've set mine at 14:1. Now here's why you need the Wideband 2. The Wideband 2 does something special. It has a narrow band O2 sensor emulator inside it. So if you know anything about O2 sensors, a narrow band O2 sensor only works at stoichiometric ratios. So what it does is it gives you a voltage for, hey, I'm rich, take fuel out, or it gives you a different voltage for when you're above 14.7 for, hey, I'm lean, add fuel. And what Kove does is when it's in closed loop and it's monitoring the narrowband O2, it's constantly adjusting fuel. It's going, oh crap, I'm rich. Oh crap, I'm lean. So you'll watch the injector pulse width when you monitor it on OBD2. You watch add, you watch it subtract. And that's your O2 swinging back and forth on the narrowband. So back to the Dynojet Wideband 2 commander. What that does is it takes the signal from the wideband sensor you have to add to your exhaust, and it sends the signal to the ECU. It changes the voltage so that the ECU now thinks, hey, I'm stoichiometric, but actually, what I've done is bring that AFR down to 14.1. Why is that important? So when your bike transitions between closed loop and open loop, I've tuned it so that there's no difference in AFRs between the two. So it stays steady and constant. I have no more jerking. I have no more fear of when I'm doing lock turns, you know, standing up on the pegs and I'm really low in the RPM in first gear. No problems at all. Smooth as glass. I'll post some riding videos of it, but it's awesome. So I'm going to pop the seat off here, and I'll show you what the install involves and what it looks like. So here we have the Power Commander 6, the Dynojet Wideband 2. The Dynojet Power Commander 6 connects to the injector harness over here under the air filter, as well as the ignition coil. What that allows it to do is when you program your Dynojet, it can add or subtract fuel. It can also add ignition timing. It can also increase the rev range. So if you call up Dynojet and you tell me you want a RPM limit of 14,000, they'll give it to you. Would I do that? Probably not. I added 500 RPM to this, and it makes the rev limiter feel a lot softer. It doesn't hit, when you hit that RPM, it doesn't just on you. All right. So you tap into the power on the ECU right there on your connectors to the ECU. I also tapped in for engine temperature so that my auto tuning doesn't start until I reach 150 degrees. If you know anything about engines, your cold start map is generally richer, and once you get above a certain temperature, it leans the whole map out. So I don't want that information affecting my trims while I'm riding. All right, the other thing you have to do is add the wideband sensor here. The narrow band is back there, and you can see I added the wideband right here behind it, in front of the oil line banjo bolt for the oil cooler, and behind the water pump. And it runs up along the same line as the O2 sensor. Now, when we talk about intercepting the narrowband O2 sensor, there's a connector right here where the narrowband plugs into the main harness for the bike. I cut the signal wire on the narrowband O2 side of the connector. That way I'm not messing with the bike. So the wire comes from the narrowband O2 connector, run up through here, in, and then right down in here, it's connected to this. So what it does is it feeds the narrowband signal from the Dynojet Wideband 2 all the way down here to where the narrowband is, and feeds that signal back up through the main harness into the ECU. And that's how it gets that information and keeps the AFR straight and easy. I'm going to post some riding videos of it so you can see for yourself how much smoother this thing is on the low end. Game changing for me. So enjoy, but this has been my fix to the low RPM problems that this bike has.